Hello and I welcome you to this video. In this series of short videos, we are discussing some of the literary terms, and the term that we'll be discussing today is myth. Students, myth falls in the category of folklore yarns consisting of narratives that play a fundamental role in a society, such as foundational tales of origin myths, you can say. The main characters in myths are usually gods, demigods, or supernatural humans. Stories of everyday human beings, although often of leaders of some type, are usually contained in legends, which is quite opposite of myths, because in myths we have the stories of gods or demigods or supernatural humans. And myths are often endorsed by rulers and priests or priestesses and are closely linked to religion or spirituality. So many societies group their myths, legends, and history together, considering myths and legends to be true accounts of the remote past. In particular, creation myths take place in a primordial age when the world had not achieved its later form. So, other myths explain how a society's customs, institutions, and taboos were established and how they were sanctified. There is a complex relationship between recital of myths and the enactment of rituals. And the term mythology also refers to the study of myths in general, or body of myths regarding a particular subject. The study of myths began in ancient history, and today the study of myth continues in a wide variety of academic fields, including subjects like folklore studies, philology, psychology, and anthropology. So we do study myths in all the domains. Moreover, the academic comparisons of bodies of myth are known as comparative mythology. So, for example, we can compare different myths belonging to different sects of people, different places, and the comparative analysis can make us understand the particular development and how the myths came to shape the societies to which they belonged. And now, if we talk about the definition of myth, then folklorist Laurie Honko, he offers a widely cited definition of myth, which goes like, myth is a story of the gods, a religious account of the beginning of the world, the creation, fundamental events, the exemplary deeds of gods, as a result of which the world, nature, and culture were created together, with all parts thereof and given their order, which still obtains. A myth expresses and conforms society's religious values and norms. It provides a pattern of behavior to be imitated, testifies to the efficacy of ritual with its practical ends, and establishes the sanctity of cult. So now we'll begin to analyze this definition in parts. So myth is a story of the gods, a religious account of the beginning of the world. So that is how the world was before it began, how it began actually, and about the creation, about the origin of the world, how it started, the fundamental events that took place. So talking about that, and the exemplary deeds of the gods, as a result of which the world, nature, and culture were created. So mark the word culture here. So myth is an integral part of a particular culture. Every culture has some specific myths for it, which deals into the information like what exactly were its gods who initiated the creation, and what were their exemplary deeds which inspired its people, and that they come to have a set of principles which they still adhere to. So that's myth, and it expresses and conforms society's religious values and norms. So it gives a kind of legitimacy to the value system of that particular culture. It provides a pattern of behavior which they need to adhere to, which they need to imitate, as they belong to that particular group which follows those myths. So every culture has a specific myths inherent, and testifies to the efficacy of ritual with its practical ends, that establishes the sanctity of a cult. So it gives it a sense of belonging to a particular cult, to a particular culture. So that's myth is all about. The term myth is used in varied ways, and in a broad sense, the word can refer to any traditional story, any popular misconception, or imaginary entity for that matter. And take it into consideration that while myth and other folklore yarns may overlap, myth is often thought to differ from yarns such as legend and folktale, in that neither are considered to be sacred narratives. So, legend and folktales are not considered so much sacred, which is the case of myths. And some kinds of folktales, such as fairy stories, fairy tales, are not considered true by anyone and may be seen as distinct from myths for this reason. And main characters in myths are usually gods, demigods, or supernatural humans, while legends generally feature human as their main characters. So this is the difference between a legend, fairy tale, and between a myth. However, many exceptions or combinations exist, as in the case of Iliad, Odyssey, and Aeneid. Moreover, as stories spread between cultures or as faiths change, myths can come to be considered folktales, and the divine characters recast as either as human or demi-humans, such as giants, elves, and fairies. So conversely, historical and literary material may acquire mythological qualities over time, especially in see the case of King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table. So they have come to acquire the status of a myth with time. In colloquial use, the word myth can also be used of a collectively held belief that has no basis in fact or any false story. This usage, which is often pejorative, you can say, arose from labeling the religious myth and beliefs of other cultures as incorrect, but it has spread to cover non-religious beliefs as well. However, as commonly used by folklorists and academics in other relevant fields, such as anthropology, the term myth has no implication whether the narrative may be understood as true or otherwise. In present, the term mythology is used quite often, which usually refers to the collected myths of a group of people. But it may also mean the study of such myths, for example, a study of Greek mythology, Roman mythology, or Indian mythology for that matter. So, myth serves as ideology in narrative form too, and that is that is quite a subject of interest, a topic of interest for the literary critics nowadays. Well, that's all for now. I hope the concept of myth is clear to you. I look forward to see you in the next class. Thank you so much for your patient listening.